Yes, Christopher Fisher, he is, and most conservative Republicans. I'm going to read this out loud because Christopher in our chat room is the voice of reason right now. He says he's going to be going against a very powerful bloc. The most conservative Republicans have ran the background in the show since the 1850s and backed the Federal Reserve. You're absolutely right, Christopher. This is where I come in and say this has to do with the evil cabal. If he gets doing really, really well, they might eliminate him. And I'm worried, actually, about his safety. Donald Trump, on the other hand, I am worried about Donald Trump in some ways, too, but him getting that phone call from Clinton, that don't sit right with me, okay? That reminds me of, they're like fishing. Who's our next sucker? Who's our next person to fool the people? Because when you really think about it, before I get to Hillary's stars, when you really think about it, you know, they always talk about the Republicans are only for the 1%, and the rich are getting richer, and the poor are getting poorer. Okay, I get that, and I understand that. And then they say, oh, the Republicans are for the working man, they're for this. But the Republicans have been for the working man for a long, long time, and nothing's changing. So obviously, they're doing something wrong as well. Religion, or politics, it's a very evil thing. Let's see. Yes, Christopher's talking about the records for the St. Louis Treasury and about the Capital Campaign Corporation. Absolutely. And another thing is the Clintons and the Bushes. That's a very, when I say the evil cabal, I'm considering the Bushes and the Clintons are part of the Carlyle Corporation, or the Carlyle Company. And the Carlyle Company, without me getting into too much detail, is a very elite group of people. The Bushes are in it, the Clintons are in it, I'm sure the Rockefellers are in it, and the Rothschilds, and a couple other big names. This is all an Illuminati thing. I hate to bring up the Illuminati, but it is. I worry about Bernie Sanders, though, because the people are starting to really like him, and I'm noticing it with the younger generation. And because I do a radio show in heavy metal, I get to deal with a much younger crowd of kids that are, like, old enough to be my children. And I hear them talking, and it's like, whoa. I don't hear them talking about Hillary or Trump. I hear them talking about Sanders. So, you know, my ears kind of perk up, because this is the next generation. And what do they know that we don't? So I always got my ear placed somewhere where someone's talking about something to get the 411. All right, on to Hillary Rodham Clinton. Hillary. Well, I didn't spend a whole lot of time on Hillary. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know how to say this. She's a liar. Hillary is born October 26, 1947. She is considered a Scorpio, but she does take on a lot of Libra energy, even though she is the sun in Scorpio. And yes, she does have the abilities of being a Libra for balance and harmony. I agree. But she has a moon in Pisces, and having a moon in Pisces is probably one of the worst places for anyone's moon to be. They can easily be distracted. It creates illusions and delusions. It's really not a good placement. But here's what I see for Hillary. And this is why I didn't spend a whole lot of time on her stars. Because as soon as I saw this, I was like, good night. Good night. Right now, because she's born in October, the universal energy of her is right on Libra, right on her. And because she's more of a Libra than a Scorpio, this next energy is getting ready to change into a Virgo Pisces. In the next 2 years, they're going to be right on her 6th house, the tail, and Pisces is going to be right on her 6th house of health and service to the world. I see her having some health issues. I see her being exposed as a fraud with all this email stuff. Something is getting ready to happen with Hillary. This is not a good placement for a presidential candidate to have the tail in the 6th house of health. And I don't really know if she's really wanting to be the next president of the United States. I really do think Hillary Clinton is pretty happy playing grandma right now, and that's what she's enjoying, her grandchild. But because she carries that political name, Hillary Clinton, you know, she is part of the Democratic Party, and she has a lot of people behind her. Only time will tell. But give it the next 18 months. Like I said, when is the next? The election isn't until a year from November. Is that my understanding? November of 2016 is election time. Go into the chat and see. No one's saying anything, so I'm not sure. I think next year's election is the big one. And this energy will be in full throttle by then for her. I don't think she'd make a good president, personally. I know it's great to have a first woman president. Wonderful. Anyone but her. Minnie Mouse could do better than Hillary Rodham Clinton. A woman has so many shady things up her sleeve and has done so many shady things. No. The next few months I'm going to try and get, he's been on my show before, but he's never been on this network. He was on with me a couple of years ago when I was on AM, and that is New York Times best-selling journalist Greg Palast. Greg Palast is an investigative journalist. He's written all kinds of interesting things, but here's a book I want you guys to check out. It's called Billionaire and Ballot Bandits, written by Greg Palast. Came out 2 years ago. If you want to really know who our leaders of the free world are paid by, read that book. And I'm telling you, it exposes all of them. It exposes the Clintons. It exposes the Bushes. Hell, I could tell you how Barack Obama came to power. And it came from one woman named Penny Pritzker. Yes. That name right there is what put Obama in power. Before that, nobody knew who he was. So whether you believe that he's a citizen or not, that I don't know. I don't care. I don't deal with issues like that. But it is very interesting. Politics is a nasty thing. That's why I'm glad I'm done doing it. God, hallelujah. It's over. I'm sorry I didn't cover a whole lot of Hillary's. I just, she's very good with money. Her dragon's head in Taurus. But when you have a dragon tail in Scorpio, you have a tendency to be very secretive with a lot of skeletons in your closet. Let's see, what else can I say about Hillary Rodham Clinton? Not much. There's not a whole lot. There's a lot of... She's got 50% water in her chart, which is probably a good thing. She has a lot of intuition. People with a Pisces moon do. But it's just too bad she doesn't use her powers for the better instead of being bought by the corporations. See, that's a thing about... I was asking a kid this the other day. Why do you like Bernie Sanders? What's appealing to him? What's appealing to you about him? And he said he's not bought by any corporations. You know, he's running a low budget campaign, and you know, Ben & Jerry's has endorsed him. A couple of beer companies have endorsed him. The Teachers Union of Vermont's endorsed him. This kid was like educating me on politics a little bit. I'm like, okay, interesting. Good to know. Good to know. With that being said, think very closely before you vote. I'm sure I'll cover this some more within the year. Since, you know, the circus is just beginning, folks. And all the smear campaigns come out. But watching Trump is going to be very entertaining for me. Just because he doesn't need the Koch brothers' money or any of these lobbyists' money. He's his own billionaire. And that right there is a problem for them, because the rest of them are a bunch of little puppets kissing ass for money. But Trump would not be a very good foreign leader. He will get us into nuclear war. If you want to be nuked, vote for Trump. I told you my stance on Bernie Sanders. I do think he'd make a pretty good president. I just think the pressure of the presidency, halfway through his presidency, you're going to see him not be able to carry out his term. So with that being said, if that's who you're in favor for, you got to make sure he chooses an excellent vice president that can carry the torch on after Bernie. Well, after what I've said, if you're still for Hillary, well, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't get them to drink. Anyway, that is my forecast for the evening. I hope I didn't bore everyone too much with my political bullshit. And then, you know, I really hate to talk politics. And so next week I get to talk something really, really fun. And yes, because Trump is colliding with Hillary. This should be an interesting, election time should be very interesting. Get out your popcorn, grab your six-pack of beer, your bottle of wine, and it should be a hootenanny. Next week, I am joined by a gentleman named Olaf Phillips. Olaf Phillips is affiliated with Steampunk Publishing. He is also a good personal friend of Clyde Lewis of Ground Zero Radio. Incredible person, very into conspiracy theories, and we're going to talk next week about who the trigger man was when Kennedy was assassinated. I'll give you a hint. I just mentioned one of the family's name on this show. Should be exciting. We're going to talk about the Kennedy assassination, the conspiracy theory behind that. Never a dull moment here at Alpha Star Radio. Until next week, everybody, thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you right back here next week. Good night. Be safe.